basically what has happened is that the respect quotient in the society has gone down. He would largely depend upon what you tell, and what you tell is your imagination. It must have been successful, therefore there are career counselors, therefore there are marriage counselors.
So today we are going to talk about the lost art of informal counseling. Now we all understand that we face problems in life. Life में बहुत सारी problems आती रहती हैं और कभी-कभी हमारे पास उसका solution नहीं होता. So we turn towards people nearby, our family, our friends. Those are the first point of contact for informal counseling. और आजकल इसकी ज़रूरत ज़्यादा ही हो गई है. Divorce rates are climbing. Career में confusion. There are too many options. So I think the need for informal counseling has increased from generations and over the past years. What do you think about it?
Informal counseling was always existent. What has happened now is that the world is becoming jargonized and everything is blown out of proportion. Now, counseling has become a specialized subject. Why should counseling be a specialized subject? It is so because there is a disconnect between members of the family or members of the community. Earlier, a father or an uncle or an aunt or the mother or an elder sister could be a counselor, and the person being counseled had a willing ear, had a willing listening. Today that willingness has gone, and we'll touch upon some of the reasons why that willingness has gone. And therefore, a professional counselor is considered more capable of addressing the issue than somebody who has a day-to-day association with the person.
You think in that case the advice or counseling could be biased one way or the other because the person is too close? There could be trust issues. That's why generally people tend to ignore free advice.
There are respect issues. Basically what has happened is that the respect quotient in the society has gone down. If you compare generations and you take 3 generations, because that's the span which we are comfortable, go back 2 generations and you will see that the respect towards the elderly was much higher. Today the factor of elderly doesn't exist. You will hear quite often children saying "Gyan mat do." Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine me saying that to my grandfather or my father. I would have been slapped instantly. Zaban ladata hai. Today you can't even think of that. Today it is very easy. Gyan mat do. And these very same children will take gyan from an unknown person, from an absolute nobody, simply because he or she parades with some certificate which has a questionable value. Now I'm sure you're meaning counseling with respect to some of the serious things like career or relationship, especially marriage counseling. So, how can somebody give you an advice on your career without actually knowing you? Now, knowing you is not necessarily only your name, address and age and all that thing. Knowing you means your SWOT analysis. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How would that counselor know? He would largely depend upon what you tell. And what you tell is your imagination, not necessarily the truth. And then this counselor is going to charge hefty fees. And then the duration of counseling is also unknown. The deliverables are also unknown. And yet you are going to professional counselors simply because the communication has broken down between people who live under the same roof. Now this I find extremely funny. Who should be knowing each other much better than people living together, and yet you need an outside source. It is like the 2 cats and the monkey dividing the piece of cheese.
The complexity is also increased. No? Relationship mein, if you see, the divorce rates are rising everywhere, all around the world. It's not just India. Pehle idhar kam tha. People were compromising. Also, career opportunities. When I was actually deciding my career, there were only two options, either engineering or doctor. Aajkal, there are so many specialized fields. So I feel that the knowledge is limited with our previous generation. If I tell my parents about, food blogging as a career path, they will not understand. They were like, ये क्या है? सिर्फ इंटरनेट पे कुछ comments लिखना है कोई रेस्टोरेंट पे, ये कौन सा career है? But there are people who are actually doing well in that.
Fair enough.
So both these issues have arisen in our.
I'm not disputing the plethora of options available. I'm saying that who is in a position to advise? Now take this example of career, food blogging. How many career counselors would know food blogging?
They should be, because their job.
How many would know?
Almost all, right?
Would they? I can bet.
I would guess.
I can bet not many would know this as a career option. How can I give advice on somebody's careers without knowing their aptitudes? And how do I get the aptitude? Simply in a conversation. Aptitude is your ability to perform. Certain things you perform well and you don't like to do those things. And certain things you don't do well, but you want to do those things. That is where the career mess-ups happen. I am not good in science, but I want to be a doctor or an engineer. Science is not my strength. I am a great painter, I am a great writer, and I don't want to go for arts. So this mismatch is what is messing careers up. You are in the wrong place. You want to make a career out of a skill which is non-existent. Whereas you have a skill which you don't want to utilize.
That's true. I can relate to that because that's something that I've done in the past.
Many people do that. Okay. Now you've said another important thing, divorce.
Yes.
What is divorce? It is intolerance. People who go for divorce don't know the meaning of marriage. Let me ask you honestly, what is the meaning of marriage? Not many people will answer this question.
Yeah, two people legally bonded by a contract.
Is that marriage?
Well, that's the...
Then you are headed for divorce. The minute you say it's a legal contract, then you have an option of legal separation. Then you have started the whole association on the premise of separation. Why did you get married? Everybody gets married, so I got married. If I don't marry, people will wonder something is wrong with him.
Yeah, age issues and then parents.
Parents are forcing me. So is that the reason for your marriage? You have not married for the right reason. Because you don't know why do you want to marry? You have not answered that question. It is based on somebody else's marriage and somebody else's decisions. So divorce is because the tolerance threshold has diminished. Marriage is accommodation, marriage is tolerance, marriage is adjustments. Who talks in these terms? Nobody.
Yeah, not in the current generation.
Nobody. Then you are marrying, then it is better that you don't marry. If you are not willing to tolerate, adjust, then you are not a candidate for marriage. How many counselors have succeeded in mending marriages?
Not many.
We don't know. We don't know. I mean, I'm sure there will be statistics available somewhere. When two people cannot agree with each other, how can a third person make you and this person agree?
Exactly. If you're going for counseling, means there's a fundamental problem in your relationship, right?
You don't understand the person you are living with. How do you expect an outsider to understand the person you are living with?
So is that the reason that people don't offer paid counseling? I mean, like when the idea of counseling was brought to me for the first time, I was like, counseling? Is there a problem in my mind? Am I like ill? Am I diseased? Or is there some bigger problem?
How do you validate a counselor? I need validation. When I buy medicine, I look for the expiry date. I look for the reputation of the company manufacturing the medicine. I look for a recommendation from my doctor in the form of a prescription. Those are some things I rely on when I purchase medicine. How do I validate a counselor? How do I know he has the subject knowledge to counsel me?
Yeah, exactly. There's a faith issue. There is the issue about opening up yourself to an unknown person.
So my take on this subject is, you don't understand yourself. When it comes to career, you don't understand yourself. You don't have an information bank of the available careers where you could explore your capability and check out. And many a times, careers are messed up because of the glamour quotient. The glamour of the finance or the glamour of the adulation, that influences many people to select career.
So yeah, my next question was, what is the effectiveness of counseling, whether it's informal or formal? Do you think formal would be more effective than informal, or informal would be more effective than formal? By formal, of course, I mean by paid counseling.
I can't stereotype it because sometimes the informal one is more successful. Sometimes the informal counseling is more successful. The formal counseling may not be successful because I'm also in a judgmental mode, that I'm judging my counselor कि उसको कितना knowledge है. So I'm not in a receptive mode. The same thing happens with prejudices and biases we have about known people. You know, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर, that kind of thing. So I cannot put a formula that yes, paid counseling is more successful than unpaid counseling. I wish, and I'm sure there is somewhere some database available on the conversion factors, the success conversion factors of counselors. And I haven't yet seen any counselor saying that I have this success percentage. So I'm not really sure. So I don't have a definitive answer to whether it works or it doesn't work. It must have been successful, therefore there are career counselors, therefore there are marriage counselors. They are making a career out of counseling for themselves. So obviously it must be working somewhere.
You mentioned like self-knowledge is very important in either of the cases, whether you're deciding your career or your life partner, right? Now, what would you suggest a person do to increase their self-knowledge? You know, people or children of 9th and 10th standard, they don't meditate, they don't have so much knowledge about...
I wouldn't go to those extents. I would simply say, do a simple paper analysis. Take a sheet of paper, write down your strengths, write down your weaknesses, write down the opportunities you have, and write down the threats. You will know that you can't fill up the SWOT columns uniformly. There will be a column where you don't know what to write. Opportunities, I don't know what opportunities I have. That square will be blank. Barely you will be able to scratch one or two opportunities there. You will write maybe a lot of strengths, maybe a lot of weaknesses, but when it comes to opportunities, very few. When it comes to threats, a lot of threats. So you are again not doing a balanced SWOT analysis. So I would urge people to actually put it in writing, because when you have a visual impact of what you have written, then it hits you. That otherwise you are living in a maze and a haze. You have ideas and imaginations about yourself which are not necessarily true. Do it on paper. SWOT analysis on paper is one of the strongest subjects which I would recommend every aspiring child who is looking for a career, or every couple struggling with relationship. You do a fair and square SWOT analysis. Then you can have somebody who is associated closely to you and who will not take advantage of you to comment independently in judgment. That would be a better counseling than having a professional guy who doesn't know you at all.
My last question is that strengths and weaknesses of any person, it varies over a period of time. So at a certain age, like when I'm younger, I might realize that there are certain strengths and weaknesses I have, and then if I do the same analysis after like 15, 20 years, I might find it different.
The point of time is important. When do I want career counseling? At a point of time. At that point of time, I have certain strengths and weaknesses. Those are valid. Not how my strengths were in the past or what my strengths will be in the future. That's not the consideration. The point of time is an important consideration. The point of conflict is the point of time where divorces happen or separations happen. So that point of time is important reference. It is contextual. So we should never forget that. You are an evolving human being, so your strengths will change, everything will change. Point of time is the reference, but open-mindedness to willingly discuss and listen is an ingredient that is missing. People are not ready to listen. So maybe you and I have an opportunity to start counseling and listening.
Yeah, definitely.